which was quite successful, much to her own surprise. Yet she was still in search of validation from another man, an error many women make. After an hour of the torture of classmates they no longer had anything in common with, the four women left the past behind and regrouped at a nearby motel, where Frankie and Nina were staying, for an impromptu pajama party. Realizing they were all unattached, they made a pact that if they didn't have dates for New Year's Eve by Thanksgiving, they would do the unthinkable, go on a singles cruise. The excursion provided a boon for all of them in different ways. The adventure proved to be one of enlightenment, romance, revelation, and renewal. Nina's career went from being on television to writing for television. Amy went from Silicon Valley tech geek to a professor at MIT. Rachael began working with a world-famous dancer, and Frankie was promoted to executive publisher for Grand Marshal Publishing's cookbook division. She also found romance right in her own backyard, as the saying goes. Even Amy's divorced father found love on the same ship on the high seas. Their seafaring triumph encouraged them to devise a plan to meet again for another New Year's Eve escapade a year later. They agreed on Lake Tahoe, where estranged friendships were rekindled, professional adversaries quashed, and lessons about snowshoeing were learned. The hard way. But persistence, love, and solid relationships prevailed, and a promise of another adventure was made. Fast forward to the present. Brothers Marco and Giovanni Lombardi are partners in the eponymous family restaurant, Marco's, located in the Flatiron district of Manhattan. It is a modest neighborhood favorite for dinner and ideal for a casual business lunch. The food is authentic, and the atmosphere is cozy without being overcrowded, like some New York restaurants where you're practically sitting on a stranger's lap. There is a laid-back bustle, an oxymoron if there ever was one, but an oddly accurate description. One can feel the passion the Lombardis have invested into the business over the past 30 years. The minute you walk through the door, your senses are immersed in the lush aromas of fine herbs, the distant sound of classical music, and warm lighting that filters through the lemon trees that surround the dining room. Whatever is on your worry list takes a brief hiatus once you are inside. Marco and his wife, Anita, live in the apartment above the restaurant, just as Marco and Giovanni had when they were growing up. They are the third generation to be at the helm. They rarely have time to rest, let alone take a vacation. But that was going to change this winter. The holidays are always frenetic with private parties and their usual customers, but this year it will be different. Marco and Giovanni decided it is time to give all their employees a break. They will close the restaurant for 10 days, from right before Christmas through the new year, so the staff can spend the holidays with their loved ones. The Lombardis will spend time with their family too, in Italy. Marco's 2 children are old enough to fly without annoying other passengers, and they will finally meet their cousins and Aunt Lucia. Their now widowed mother, Rosavita, had moved back to Italy to be with her long-widowed sister-in-law, Lucia. Lucia had never set foot outside of Italy and still lives in the same house where their husbands were raised. It is a modest villa in the hills outside of the city of Salerno, but has ample room for Marco, Anita, and the kids, as well as Giovanni and Frankie. Giovanni was certain he could convince Frankie to spend the holidays with his family as long as he could concoct a plan for her folks. For the past 2 years, Frankie and her parents have spent Christmas Eve at Marco's restaurant, and then on Christmas Day, Giovanni would join them at Frankie's parents' house. Giovanni knew Frankie would love to go to Salerno, but he didn't want her to feel any guilt about leaving her parents alone, so he devised an offer they could not refuse. He would pay for Frankie's family's airfare and secure a spot at a